Hey guys, picked up a couple more half-inch sheets of the 5x5 Baltic birch. One of the things that I'm trying to figure out is the wall. We want the garage blocked off from the living area. So coming in here, I'm going to measure up from the ground, and it's looking like 42 inches will be a good stopping point for that wall to come up, because that takes into account when the bed is being squished down. We don't want to have that lip too far over the mattress, so that you're basically raking your knee on it when you're getting into the bed, because obviously our bed is so high. So I think 42 inches should lie pretty well. There's that board cut to size, and the actual cutoff piece that I cut off the top will be a perfect fit for over here. I need to scribe out the top of this because I'm going to have it underneath this and basically flush with the side, and then there's a place that it tucks in behind the backboard that we had where the lights and AC is in the back. And so that wall is what is going to be tiled in so that any cooking stuff off of the kitchen counter isn't going to get up on the bed. The seam over here was driving me nuts because in the back it was like a good 4-inch gap. I used the handy dandy scribe to find the biggest gap, which was the one in the back, and basically went down the whole of the wall. So this slopes up and this one slopes out, and then it tucks back here so that where the counter meets there was a gap, a good like 2-inch gap prior. So I got rid of that gap. I notched out a place for these wires to go through, which there's going to be garage lights and then the AC plugs for up there and in the garage over there. They have to go across the bed frame to connect to our Goal Zero down here at the floor. I think that's where I'm going to call it a night. Tomorrow we'll go ahead and fit that to match the seam and then see from there. So I went in and I scribed out against the driver's wall the angle of the wall going up right here, and then the angle of the wall going down right here. This side, that whole entire line meets up perfectly on the wall. I did have the couple boards on the bottom where there aren't any right now, just to make sure that that curve, goes all the way out. So it should line up perfectly there. For the other side, same deal. That seam is perfect for where the tile backsplash is going to be. It meets where the wires are going to come out, and then has it all the way down the bottom to the floor there. For the two boards, I'm going to go ahead and get a smaller hand clamp, but I'm going to clamp this board when they're both pushed as far over as they can to the upright board, and then go from behind in the garage, and I'm going to draw a line with my pencil straight up where this board meets this one, and then from there cut that line off, and then hopefully we have a nice perfect seam where they meet. Check that out. I think I'm going to figure out some way of framing the back side of these two boards so that they will have connection points in a few different spots to keep them together. Exciting. This wall has come together pretty dang well. These are the two shiplap boards that are going to finish off the wall that's right there behind the Goal Zero. This one I drilled a hole in, and I actually have a faceplate that will be where the cords come out. So I'm going to try to get the cords run through the wall and then coming out this piece here. I ended up getting the two AC cords, the connection point for the garage lights, and the shore power plug through this plastic little connector. It was quite difficult to get it all through there because of course these things have such huge heads, but ended up doing it. So this cord will run across the back of the wall that we're building. Got those boards up, they go through here and that's where it comes out. And then these cords are going to go up to the side of the pantry. That's going to go all the way up to the ceiling. And then so in the bed you can turn the lights on and off. And there's a USB plug as well that we'll put in there. But I'm going to go ahead and screw this in and call it a night. Well, started today setting up the mood shade. That video is linked in the top right corner. So back to working on the wall. I want to start out with measuring for a crossbar that will start at the bottom of the bed frame and then one for the floor. So I bought some new cabinet grade pine to do that, and so let's get measuring. Alright, took a little bit of trial and error, but got it to the right spot. So the plan, see, it's nice and firmly in there, but I'm going to pocket jig into that head and foot board that we have for the bed, and then the one on the bottom here, I am going to do a few pocket holes in the sides of it, just like we did for the rails that we had for the bike trays, and then one into the walls because there's a 2x2 in the wall. The plan will be to make this one nice and even with the bed frame because I know that is a flat surface. Then the two boards will fit up against this, and then I will go in from the back of the garage and put this support in last so that I can make sure where these two line up, the whole board lines up nice and flush all the way down, and then that board will keep everything together on the bottom. I'll probably look at pocket holing things, and then it'll be time to paint. So I'm going to do my best to get the wall in today. I had hoped to already be done with it. It wasn't supposed to rain at all, but it has absolutely been pouring all day long. You probably can still hear some thunder rolling. It says it's supposed to start raining again in a half hour on my weather app. I'm not sure if it's going to. It shows like 30% up until 5 p.m. and it is 2 o'clock now. So 5 p.m. though is going to be like 70% chance. Hopefully we can get this done before any rain comes. Yeah, we'll see. Hear that thunder? So the first piece I want to get in is this backer because it's getting screwed into the bed frame. I want to have it high enough so that getting through the doorway that we make in the wall will, you know, not make you go too far down with your head, but I also don't want it too high to just basically be doing the exact same thing that the bed frame is doing. So I'm just going to do some measurements to make sure the distance is the same on both sides so that we have it nice and square. Once we get it there, I'm going to go ahead and throw a couple pocket screws in. Alright, and that made it extremely flush on both sides. Yeah, I used 1.5 inch pocket screws for that, figuring that would, you know, give a little bit more strength. But other than right in the middle, it is definitely solid. Oh, it is miserably hot. The rain that came jumped the humidity up to 90%, I think it is. And I am just dripping in sweat. Sorry. Forgot to put the time lapse on, of course, but put the wall in place. That seam still lines up pretty well. I'm going to go ahead, find the places I'm going to screw in, do some pilot holes, and then I will screw these to both the bed frame and the board that we just attached. So looking over the measurements a little bit, I am going to do a screw 3 inches down and 9 inches down. And that's basically going to be directly in the middle of the 2x4 on the bed frame and then that 3/4 inch board that we put behind. Alright guys, last step. I'm going to use 1.5 inch pocket screws into the wall where they'll go into that 2x2 that we framed with. I'm going to use 1-inch screws to go into the floor because that's what seemed to work well when we did these bike trays. So I'm going to do the wall ones first and then go ahead and get them into the floor. And hopefully it'll line up nicely on the bottom, and we'll do a few screws where the pantry will be and where the counter will be so that you're not seeing them on the floor in the future. More than likely we're going to do some molding or some form to kind of cover the edges. That's where, like at the top of the bed, I think I might do a dark stain on a piece of wood, and then we're going to have that hole here to get into the garage, and so that also will probably have some kind of framing around it. Let's get these in and get out of this hot van, and we'll call it good. The last thing for today is I got these plastic clips for this electrical conduit, and I just want to get that screwed in to this bar that's going across. I wanted to show you, voila! So obviously the lights are on the ground right now, but they will be up on the bed frame most likely. But it actually does a pretty dang good job when they're on the floor there, so we'll see where we end up mounting them. Well guys, that's where I'm going to call this episode. Hope you enjoyed following along as we put up that wall. It definitely has turned out pretty well. I wasn't exactly sure how all the anchoring was going to work. In the future, I will have another video coming out when we put a doorway into the center of that. One of the things I want to make sure to figure out is where our pull-out pantry and our kitchen are going to go. So be looking for those videos as well, and then we're going to figure out where that hole will go. Thanks for following along. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and hit that bell to be notified when we post new content. We'll see you on the next one, guys. Bye.